Welcome to the Pitch Clock. Here's the pitch, a two-part baseball segment
combining a nostalgic baseball trivia game and an interview with an expert.
This is the Pitch Clock.
Back here on another episode of the Pitch Clock. Very excited. I have Chris Cody with me for today's game, and we're going to be squaring off. It's going to be a group competition against our baseball experts, Jake Mintz and Jordan Shusterman of the Baseball Barbie-cast. They're Cespedes Family BBQ. You know them well, and that's for Yahoo Sports. These guys are the best. It's a pleasure to have you guys here. And Taylor, we're just going to go ahead, throw it over to you. You let us know what our game is for today.
Yep, the game today is 3 strikes and you're out. Teams are divided into 2, so we'll alternate turns and alternate the person guessing.
Okay.
So it's kind of like you have to trust your teammate. The category today is Rookies of the Years from the 2000s, 2000 to 2009.
All right, so Jake or Jordan, you choose which rookie are you going to choose off of this list?
I will go first, and I will do Angel Baroa in 2003, please.
Should have been Hideki Matsui, but that is correct.
Oh my God.
Thank God he said that.
Wow,
one,
salty.
I did not
That is not someone I ever would have gotten. That was a mistake on your part. You should not have given us.
Save that poll,
save
man.
that
What
for
are we
later.
doing?
I just thought it was good to come out hot. I want to put my foot down and let these guys know we're not playing around.
Chris, do you want to go ahead and
I'll
go first?
I'll go. And I'm going to do the opposite of them and just take the easiest one for me on the board. Dontrell Willis, 2003.
That is correct.
Yeah.
We're knocking off 2003.
Yeah, 2003 is now gone. Jordan, after one round, we're tied. Jordan,
All right.
What is your first guess?
I'm going to go with the fellow with a few home runs, Mr. Pujols of St. Louis.
There he
I'm going
is.
to go with him.
2001. What year?
That
Yes,
is correct.
2001. Yes. Sorry, sorry for clarifying. With the Cardinals, he was on the Cardinals.
Yes.
This is
was
fascinating. Okay, time to move over to 2024 Major League Baseball. We've still got Jake and Jordan with us. And guys, I want to start at what maybe was my favorite moment from the last week. Heliot Ramos became the first player ever to hit a home run into McCovey Cove from the right-handed side. Not a lefty pulling the ball into McCovey Cove, but a righty did it. Insane power. So I wonder, this is sort of a fun fact, a tidbit. Is this your favorite fun fact from this MLB season, or is there another that stands out that you can think of, either one of you, that maybe trumps it?
I was watching it live, and I was chopping onions for dinner, and they said it on the broadcast, and I was like, what in the world? So yes, this is undeniably my favorite, just to think about how many lefties have done it and how improbable it seemed that a right-handed batter would ever do it. And for it to be a game-tying home run in the 9th inning too was pretty cool.
I mean, we've talked about this specific instance for years now, and I know that my crew on the broadcast has been talking about this for far longer than we have. Obviously, anyone that's been around the Giants has been thinking about this, but I've always just taken pleasure in looking at when balls are hit to places in ballparks that we don't see. You could just kind of get a sense, because we watch so much baseball, and we've probably watched 90% of the home runs that happen over the course of a major league season, and so when it looks a little bit different. But this is the one. This was the one at the top of the mountain,
and there was a 10-minute period in the winter of 2022 when we thought it would be Aaron Judge.
Right.
Remember,
right?
Arson Judge was reportedly a member of 2 Giants, and so when that news broke, it was like, oh, well, he's going to be the first guy. Alas, that reporting was not valid.
This is fascinating. I'm going to go.
It's generally what you say when you don't have an answer. And you're
I'm
scrambling.
going to go 2004 Pirates, Andrew McCutchen.
That's gotta be right.
That's a shame.
Oh,
What?
no. I'm an idiot.
I had written
he
down.
ain't that old.
It feels like he is. It feels like he's been in the league forever.
I
now
wrote down
feel,
McCutchen
Oh,
under
what a
that,
mistake. Back to Jake.
A layup. I'm going to take Mr. Ichiro Suzuki.
Yep.
In 2001, please.
Yep. There he
That
is.
is correct.
Ichiro
There is another
2001.
Mariner
Yeah,
in
we-
2000. I thought that would trip some people up.
Yeah.
It would have tripped me up.
Especially the people
No.
in this room that I'm looking at.
You jerk. Chris is back up. We have one strike on the board, obviously. Jake and Jordan do not. Chris, you look super confident.
We go back to the Marlins.
That's what I was going to do. Shit.
Yeah, stay
Yeah,
I gotta
we need to
say,
stay
a lot
on
of
the
rookies of the year here for a bad team.
Now,
Yeah.
I know the two rookies.
Not
I know the two rookies of the year, and I am like 89% sure I have the years
I
right.
think I know which
I'm going
one
to
is
go
which.
Hanley in 06.
Hanley in 06.
There he
correct.
is. All right.
Nice work.
Now, what's the strategy from Jordan here? Because I think
You know what?
knows.
If Jake is going to go with Angel Baroa, then I think I'm going to go with Giovanni Soto.
Good Lord.
2008,
For the
baby.
Chicago Cubs in 2008. Is that correct?
That's a great poll.
You guys are so much better at this than
Ooh,
we
that's
are.
just how
I am
Yeah,
not
this
good at
is-
trivia. We're gonna.
So
I'll
speak for
start
yourself,
embarrassing
Jeremy.
myself here
All right.
soon. But
I'm
I feel the Soto season was.
I'm 2
I
for
mean,
2.
that's talk about Sotos who baseball play. People should be talking about more.
$500 million
that's the-
player.
That's the
one.
Soto for sure. All right. Well, if this is the case, I just need to feel safe. I'm going to go with a Marlin. 2009 Chris Coughlin.
Yeah.
It is Chris Coughlin.
Yeah.
We are losers.
We'll never
Just
forget
going
the
for our
Chris
home-
Coughlin season ever. All right. We're back to Jake here.
Oh, well, you tried to trip us up with those two Mariners. Well, you can't do that because I know that Kaz Sasaki won in 2000.
You've got to be kidding
good.
me.
That is
Before
correct.
Ichiro.
Cat-
Before
Jeez.
Ichiro, he was just setting the stage for Ichiro.
Kaz Sasaki. Is there a team currently in the mix for the postseason that if I called either one of you in about 6 weeks and said, hey, this team just won the World Series, that you would just be completely and utterly shocked by?
Man, I don't know. Like I just watched. You think about the teams at the very bottom of the standings, right?
Right.
The Twins. I just saw them lose in very embarrassing fashion with my own two eyes last night. That would be a team that just because of how poorly they've played, but they still have some recipes that I could imagine now that they're healthier. So I don't know who is the thinnest.
All right, I'm
Here's
gonna
a
hop
weird
in.
one.
Let me hop
Here's a
in.
weird one.
Let me hop
the
in.
Mets. I'm gonna say the Mets.
You would be shocked if it was the Mets? How is that possible given all of
I-
the luck they've had this season?
No,
wrong,
I-
wrong, wrong.
Okay,
wrong,
all right,
wrong,
go-
All right,
wrong.
let's let Jake hop in here.
The Mets have the topsy-turvy irrational magic behind them that you can envision propelling them. The Orioles are less likely to me than the Mets.
Wow.
Simply, yes, I know you're floored by that. The
Wow.
Orioles are the team that I am the most worried about right now because they've had a mediocre to below average offense for the last 2.5 months. They have really two healthy starting pitchers you can trust between Corbin Burns and Zach Eflin. And this was a team that had so much buzz over the first couple months of the season because of how good the offense was. And with injuries and underperformance from guys like Adley Rutschman, this team has really fallen down the pecking order. I don't think they have what it takes to claw back the gap in the AL East from the Yankees. And I can just see them getting bounced in a wild card set.
I don't know. I still think that to your point, it is so wide open. The only thing I feel confident about is that the Astros are going to be in the ALCS. Other than that,
course.
I have no reason to believe anything is going to happen on either side of the bracket.
Guys, I actually do want to talk to you about the Dodgers now because to me, they are in maybe the most interesting position of any team headed into the postseason. What percentage should the panic meter be at if you're a Dodgers fan headed into this postseason? And before you answer this question, just know there's sort of a secret weapon in the back of my mind that I'm going to follow up here with in just a second.
I don't think it's panic. I think it's despondence. I think the way that the Dodgers have bounced from October over the last couple of years in the first round to inferior teams, it's not even freaking out. It's, oh, here we go again. It's that meme.
I think also, I just keep thinking about the news we just got yesterday about Yoshinobu Yamamoto and how they are going to still be fairly conservative in terms of asking him to pitch on regular rest versus regular postseason rest. And that isn't necessarily as important in the postseason just because you do have a lot of off days. But at the same time, I mean, for most pitchers, you're expecting them to go on at least a little bit more shorter rest.
And he hasn't even thrown 5 innings yet. Jerry, I'm gonna jump your question here, which is about Shohei Ohtani.
Yes, it is. It is about
Right.
Shohei Ohtani. You're right.
All season long, the Los Angeles Dodgers have been pretty steadfast that Shohei Ohtani is not going to pitch this year. That they changed their tune, they're worried. And they're like, well, you're hurt. You're hurt. Oh, he pitches. Maybe he could pitch. The swap in the Ohtani vibe about him pitching tells me that there's at least some level of urgency internally going on with the Dodgers.
Chris, you're up.
I'm going to go 2008 Evan Longoria.
Nice.
Longo.
Yeah.
That's
Evan
correct.
Longoria. That's a good one. We're sending it back over to Jordan.
I am now mildly struggling, but I think I'm going to go with Prince Fielder.
2007?
No.
2007?
No.
That is a strike.
No.
All right,
That is a
if that's a strike, if that's a strike, does that mean I'm
Jake's
up here?
disappointed. As soon as I said, I was like, "Oops, wrong Brewer."
All right, so 2007. I'm going to try to steal that one. I hope I'm right. 2007 Milwaukee Brewers, Ryan Braun.
It is Ryan.
Yeah.
All right, back
As
in
soon
the
as I said, I was
game.
like, "It was Braun."
All right. So Jake, it's
I'm
back to
sorry.
you.
There
Both
you go.
teams
Back
have one
in it,
strike.
boys. You're welcome.
2004 Bobby Crosby. Please. Thank you.
Bobby Crosby.
Which team, just
Yeah.
for clarification?
The Athletics.
Listen,
There you
if
go.
you
No
know,
City.
If you know Bobby Crosby, I shouldn't even ask for the
Yeah,
card.
I don't know why you were bothering. Are we allowed to work collaboratively, or
No.
does Chris just need to? All right, Chris needs to do
The
this on his own.
fact that I can't think of
10
this
seconds.
2005 Philly is because this is like the peak of my baseball
Mm-hmm.
life. I can't think of that one. I'm gonna go 02 Rockies Troy Tulowitzki.
early.
Not that's same.
So
Same as
strikes.
Cut. She ain't that old.
Yeah,
not that old.
Damn it, that's a shame. Guys, as we head into a weekend full of baseball, just over a week left in this season, is there a series that maybe the folks listening to this or watching this should keep an eye on if they want to prep themselves for postseason baseball?
The Mets going down to Atlanta for 3 games next week in the penultimate series is one that we started to realize could be pretty juicy a few weeks ago and is now setting up to really be something special. There are a couple other divisional matchups that are pretty compelling next week. The Mariners going down to Houston for a last gasp at the division, the Orioles in New York as well. I know those teams are a little bit farther back, but obviously the stakes for the Mets and Braves pushing for that last spot is pretty compelling.
But if you really want to be ill with baseball, then the only series for you, Jordan knows exactly what I'm about to say, is White Sox Angels.
Yes.
Now, maybe not for playoff baseball. The White Sox, who were on pace for the worst record, the worst winning percentage in baseball history, they have won, I think, 3 in a row right now. They beat the Angels last night. They're playing them again next week. They need 5 more wins to ensure that they do not have the worst winning percentage of all time. The Angels, meanwhile, are playing to not have the worst winning percentage in franchise history.
So if you want to see a particularly relieved handshake line at the end of the night, no matter what happens, you'll see that there.
Well, guys, thank you for the knowledge of 2024 baseball. Let's send it back to our game and see how this competition finishes out. Jordan is up.
What a dumb guess by me.
Yeah.
Jordan, what is your next guess?
I think I'm going to go with Pedroia in 07.
It is Dustin Pedroia.
Wow, Dustin
Yes.
Pedroia.
Yes.
Boston Red Sox.
Felt pretty good about that. And then for some reason, I swerved to Prince in 07. That was stupid. So
I think I have this one. I'm hoping for the best. I'm going back to 2002, but I'm going to go with the Toronto Blue Jays, Vernon Wells.
Strike those.
No! Who would that be? Shit. All right, well, it doesn't even matter at this point, but if you guys want to round out this round or just start, I mean, we've already lost. If you want to just name as many of them as you can here, feel free to rapid fire because we don't know anything.
Okay, here's what I got. I got 06 is Verlander with the Tigers.
yeah.
Yep.
Correct.
04 is Jason Bay
Correct.
with the
Yes.
Pirates.
Is 08 Desmond Jennings or is that too
No,
early?
he already said
No,
Longoria.
that was Longoria.
Oh, we had that right. I
Already
apologize.
said
I
Longoria.
apologize.
Who's 05
He's
Phillies?
The Phillies? Utley? No, that's
Utley?
too early for Utley, I think.
No, I know the following person won Rookie of the Year. I don't know if it was the 00 Braves or the 02 Jays. I'm going to say Eric Hinsky, 2002 Jays.
Eric Hinsky was the 2002 Brave.
Lord.
I'll go through what we missed.
Yeah.
2000, Rafael Furcal for the Braves.
Oh.
2002,
okay,
Jason Jennings from the Rockies.
I
Eric
would
Hinsky from the
never.
Blue Jays.
Jason Jennings.
We got Jason Bay, 2004 from the Pirates. 2005 from the Phillies, Ryan Howard.
Oh!
For the A's, Houston Street.
Oh,
And then
Yeah, that one I should've got
2009
more.
from the Oakland A's, the last one, Andrew Bailey.
Andrew Bailey.
That 05.
Wow.
That 05 is a punch in the gut. I
That
knew both
is
of those.
Crazy.
I should-
05 is unforgivable for everybody here.
I am-
Yeah, we honestly should feel so bad.
I am
that
ashamed.
nobody
Other
got
than
Ryan
that, I don't
Howard.
feel that bad.
Yeah.
Hey, well, that was a blast. Thank you guys for joining us on this episode of the Pitch Clock. I'm gonna go cry in the bathroom.
So is Eric Hinsky.
That's right. It's Thursday Thunder, and it's brought to you by DraftKings. Stay tuned because you're going to hear all that DraftKings has to offer throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Tony, what do we got?
Boys, we got Thursday night football tonight. New England Patriots, who've been pesky, they've been frisky the last couple of weeks. Just want to let you know they've been good.
They've been
Dan, you've
both.
been surprised by them.
I wouldn't say good, but I would say pesky and frisky.
Pesky and frisky against the New York Jets tonight in New York at the Meadowlands.
Rookie.
We've got a 3-leg parlay all in Thursday night football, a single game parlay by our friends at DraftKings. First leg, over 60 rushing yards for Breece Hall tonight. 60 rushing yards is the number there. Second leg of the parlay, we're going back to the ground game. Dan, we're establishing the run early on Thursday Thunder. Braylon Allen, who I very much like, by the way. Very much like, over 25 yards on the ground. You?
We didn't get your top 5 observations.
We have it. If you want to go to it, we have it.
We have your top 5 football
We do.
observations?
We absolutely do.
We need to get to that.
Last leg, New York Jets -6 against the spread. Different segment, but in the same Thursday Thunder. So Breece Hall over 60, Braylon Allen over 25, and the Jets -6. That is your Thursday Thunder.
The good news is we have found John Lieber, who allowed 2 RBI to the one-handed Jim Abbott. The bad news is that he is tied up all day at a sales training conference in Fort Lauderdale to promote his new cruise planning business.
Wow.
He's here.
He's got to be in studio.
I
now.
love a cruise.
Tomorrow.
He's got to be in
We
studio.
got to see if John Lieber will come in tomorrow and sit
I
with
will
us.
drive.
And
I'll go drive and get him.
I'll go on his cruise. I will.
You'll go on his cruise?
I mean, isn't that what he just said?
he's at a sales training conference to promote his new cruise planning business.
Hey, he can plan my cruise.
There you go.
Okay.
You have
that's-
one customer in me if you come on this show.
pick
That's
him up
called
tomorrow.
quid pro quo, folks.
Let's do this. Let's do the useless sound montage because we've gotten away from the useless sound montage and it is Thursday and it's late for the useless sound montage. But off of the football weekend, there were all manner of people saying useless things. Let's gather them all in one place and let's start with Jim Harbaugh.
I love guys who like football. And guys who like football, they like me back, and I like them back. And even guys that don't like football, I mean, they try to avoid me because I'm always trying to get them to like football more.
The first chop of the tree doesn't chop the tree down. It takes sometimes 272 axe chops, and it took every single one tonight to get the job done.
Quarterbacks tend to play better when you're able to run the football effectively.
I asked Malik why he didn't throw the ball on that third down, and he told me that Josh threw up on the ball. I was like, that's the first time I've ever heard that.
These are kind of the games you look back on late in the season and you're thankful that you won these.
Yeah, it's just great to get a win. Any win that you can get, especially early in the season, they're going to, be critical, as we move on forward to the season.
We're not going to hope for a change. We're going to do some things to create a change.
I'm not a doctor. I take accountability. There. It starts with me.
As players, we got to be better. I got to be better. I got to, pick him up. I got to pick up other guys. Other guys got to pick up me. That's how we win. And unfortunately, we couldn't overcome too many mistakes today.
And look in the mirror and fix it. I got to play better.
How do we put guys in some better spots? And that's collectively, and it always starts with me.
Their head coach cost them this one. So 100% on me. We improved. There's areas we got to continue to improve on, but it's not okay.
Just because you got, really good players and good scheme doesn't mean the other team's going to give it to you. You have to go out and earn it. So we've had to learn that, the first 2 games of the season. So hopefully we can be better next week.
We always take it 1 week at a time. And I think that's one of the great things that Coach Harbaugh has taught us is, you can't be 2-0 without being 1-0, and you can't be 1-0 without winning the first one.
I mean, we suck right now, so I don't... pretty shocked.
He's a grown-up, and he knows better. And so, I was really irritated that he cost us 3 points in a game that we probably needed it.
Congratulations to our offense and our team, but we still got work to do. I love to answer that question, but there's a lot of meat on the bone.
Great team effort, offense, defense, special teams. Great week of practice.
All 3 phases did an excellent job today.
They got to be a catalyst for us. They know it. They own that. They don't run from that. They run to that.
Going into it, we know the turnover battle would be a big piece of this. It's how we want to play as part of our identity. And so to win the turnover battle, I thought was big.
We get the little things right, the big things will take care of themselves, and we just didn't take care of the little things.
Just got to find a way to win. Like you said, I'm not used to being 0-2. Just got to catch our momentum and get it started right away.
We come in with that mentality that if we get the football with the chance to win the game, we're going to do it, and we were able to do that today.
Sometimes good steps don't turn into wins, though.
Turnovers, they kill you. They very seldom give you an opportunity to win the game.
What I was most proud of is that the guys fought all the way till the end.
I mean, I've tried to flip off a diving board into water. I've tried to do it off of a trampoline. I only tried it once off just the ground like he did it. And pretty much every time, for some reason, I stop mid-turn. I know people can do it, rather easily. Something I always tried to do. Yeah, just cool. I've always admired people that could do that. That's something I'm missing, not getting that last part of it in.
None of your businesses.
Chop back, do it to the other team.
I can't give you all the ingredients to the hot dog. You might not like it.
None of your businesses. Put it on the poll, please, Juju. Does it sometimes take 272 axe chops? And was Jim Harbaugh on a diving board of some sort while he was talking? Like, what were those springs making sound in the background of what it is Jim Harbaugh was saying?
That was incredible for a couple of reasons. Number one, the sound of the diving board. Like, it's like he's bouncing on it, but he wants to do it, but he's scared because he's failed, as he told us in that sound. And number two, he went on for a long time talking about that.
Trampoline.
Number three, what was the question that elicited that answer? Do you ever think about that, Dan, when you hear an answer in one of these press conferences?
Not with Harbaugh. I mentioned yesterday, I'll tell the story again because it's such an amazing one, the 2003 deposition of Donald Sterling about his mistress, when you wonder what a question is, because I've never seen this kind of answer to a question.
Yep.
I have to find it on my phone.
I got you. So he's giving a deposition, right? And he's under oath, and he gives this answer, which is long, like Harbaugh's, and
it was
very
about
detailed.
how he liked. I'm just going to paraphrase. He liked to fool around in the back of a limousine. He liked the sucking and the enjoyment.
There you go.
And he gave a lot of details. And then the attorney says, "Sir, the question was, is this your handwriting?"
The answer was, well, I fool around sometimes. I do. When a girl seduces me and tells me all these hot stories and dirty things and tells me about how she wants to suck on me and take my shoes off and licks my feet and touches me. When I'm in a limousine, she takes all of her clothes off. The limo driver says, "What's going on?" And she starts sucking me on the way to Mr. Coon's house. And I thank her. I thank her for making me feel good. And that's when the attorney says,
"Sir, the question was, is this your handwriting?"
It's the greatest question and answer and question ever. The other thing I really enjoyed this week was, I'm going to pull back the curtain for the people. We get a list of all the sounds and a little 2-word, 3-word summary of what was said. Jim Harbaugh, football guys. Trevor Lawrence looking in the mirror, et cetera, et cetera. My favorite thing is on this sheet, Patrick Mahomes, just his name, because we know it's just his voice. Doesn't matter what he said. We just like listening to his voice.
McVay's voice was unusually hoarse during that one.
Raspy.
Andre Ward, next. Excited about this one. Andre Ward is a boxing Hall of Famer. He's an Olympic gold medalist. He is former unified world champion. He retired 2017, undefeated. And now with Matt Barnes, our friend Steven Jackson, All the Smoke, he's the chief content officer of their combat sports vertical. That's doing a lot of great work. You can follow it on YouTube at ATS Fight and on the DraftKings Network. Steven Jackson has a show, Morning Combat, does tapings out of the Metal Arc studio in New York. They're on the ground at fights. There's a lot more coming, including Dre's show, The Art of War. The Art of Ward, excuse me, not The Art of War. It debuted this week. Andre Ward with us here. Let's get started. Good talking to you, Andre. Thank you for making the time, sir. I appreciate that at this point in your life, you are now an executive and a content person, and you have found out what to do in retirement that doesn't batter your body. Thank you for making the time for us, sir.
No, brother, it's good to be on with you. It's very, very good to not be in those wars and taking that punishment. But I kind of miss dishing it out, though. I got to be honest with you.
You miss it?
I miss dishing out the punishment, not taking it.
What don't you miss about boxing?
You know what, man? It's and I've said this, several times. Post retirement is one of the reasons you retire is to get your freedom back. And very dedicated person. How I do some things is how I do all things. I'm very, very locked in. I understood the dangers of the sport. I understood the dedication that needed to be there. So whether I'm on vacation or whether I'm having time with my family, I got the sport on my mind. I don't miss those times. I don't miss those periods where my brain is always kind of split to think about my weight or the next fight or the next negotiation. So having that freedom and being a civilian, if for lack of a better phrase, and just being able to be a normal person and working out when I want to, not beat myself up if I don't want to work out, and just being a normal person and taking on other tasks like we're talking about today with this all the smoke stuff. That's a very, very freeing feeling.
Oh, but Andre, you are underselling the obsessive compulsive thing that you had to do to be great at that when you can have it taken away from you on a punch, and every young, hungry person in your sport wants what you have. Explain to the uninitiated what it took to be you, because I don't think anybody understands how hard it was to make it look as easy as you made it look.
I mean, when somebody's great at what they do, they make it look easy, but to your point, it's anything but. It's a lot of tinkering, a lot of toiling, a lot of rough days. It's a lot of questioning yourself. It's a lot of finding yourself again, and obviously a lot of physical hard work. But I'm I'm a mental guy. I'm very, very in tune with the mind, and I feel like that's so important when you talk about just life, but then also sports. And so I was always not just doing physical reps, but the mental reps. And then after you've done all that prep work, all the hard work, now you have to go execute. So that's the tricky part about this thing, man. But I loved it. But you just get to a point where you don't love it like you used to. And when you start to get to that point where the R word, retirement, starts to get in your mind, you start saying it, and it starts to, you just start to hear it in your conversation, it's probably beginning to be time to start making that decision. But the beautiful thing is this, that obsession, that being locked in, that focus, now I can put that toward other things. And that's the missing piece a lot of times for athletes and even entertainers or anybody who's done something for an extended period of time. The door closes on what they previously did or what they were known for. Now they're lost. They don't have that other project. I've always been a man on a mission. I've always been a man with a mission. You just have to change the mission. Same passion, same drive, just for other things.
More specifically, though, if you were explaining to a stranger, here's the arduous thing that I had to do in the shadows that no one understands how arduous this part of it was to be as excellent as I was, because Drew Brees says excellence is lonely. Greatness is lonely. Like when you're running at 5 o'clock in the morning and you don't want to do it a second time, third time in a day, like you explain to the person who doesn't understand, for you to stay on top, the example you can give me of you could not do what I did here would be what?
One thing, there's many, but one thing is maintaining your belief in yourself and your ability in the biggest moments. Fighters, athletes, they put on a good front a lot of times. And I'm not saying that we aren't confident. We are. We would not get to the level that we got to if we were not confident. But every athlete at a certain point in time, when the event gets close, and even in preparation, where you have to battle doubt, you have to battle fear, you have to battle worry, you have to battle these things. How you battle those things determine who you are that night, that day, whatever sport you play. You got to win that battle over and over and over, and you have to fight that fight very, very well, or you won't be successful for any extended period of time. That's not talked about with a lot of athletes, but that's a real thing.
I think it's super interesting that you're shrugging off the physical stuff and you're just doing the mental stuff, because I'm imagining what you're saying to me is, do you understand what my pain threshold has to be as a boxer for the physical stuff? That I got conquered. That ain't the hard part.
Well, I can't even really do the physical consistently at the level it needs to be done if my mental isn't right. We shine a bright light on the physical, and that's cool to get the clips for, all access 24/7 or just whatever content channel you're on. But you do got to wake up. There's some days you wake up and you don't feel like doing that. That's when the mental comes in. There's some days because you've done this thing, whatever sport you're in or whatever it is that you do for so long, that you can kind of do it mindlessly. You can just go through the motions. But when you train with a purpose, when you train and prepare with an urgency, that's mental fortitude. That's something in you saying, I don't feel like it, but I still got to push through. So that's why, for me, the mental part is so important.
A big Canelo fight this weekend in Vegas. Can you tell me where you put his legacy?
It's tough, man, because, Canelo's fans, they have a problem with me because I tell the truth and I'm not afraid to speak my mind. Though I balance it out with the respect that I feel Canelo deserves. So I think Canelo is a really good fighter, man. I think that he's done. You can't question the marketability. You can't question the fanfare. You can't question, the love that his fans have for him and what he's done from that standpoint. Arguably, the face of boxing, next to Gervonta and a few others. But it is hard for me to rate the legacy because at a certain point you start seeing the picking and choosing, right? Well, I'm not going to fight that guy. I'm going to fight this guy. Now, hear me. Some of that stuff, you got to do it. You can't fight a tough number one contender, another champion, fight in to fight out. You get to a certain point where you have that luxury. Floyd had it. Roy had it at a certain point. Canelo has it. Gervonta has it. And that's fine. Do that. If it's just a money thing and you just want to have events, man, do that. But then you start asking questions like you just asked me about legacy. You can't really quantify a legacy and you can't be considered one of those all-time greats if you're not facing other greats consistently. So that's the problem that I have. So that's the long way of saying I don't really know how to quantify his legacy at this point. He's a really good fighter, man, and you can't take that from him. But his career is still going on. We'll see how he finishes. But he's at a point now where he's making it perfectly clear. I'm not fighting certain guys. I'm not interested in that. I'm gonna fight this guy. And I don't think that's how it's supposed to be done.
Who gets the most respect from you there on he would fight anybody?
What do you mean?
Just somebody whose legacy you do not question because you are saying they took on all comers and didn't do the earned right of I'm going to pick and choose at the end because I'm going to protect the business.
There's a lot of guys. I mean, but the more we start talking about those guys like the James Tonys and many others that came behind him, the McClellan and Roy and certain people at certain points in times in their career, you start to get further away from this legacy. You start to get further away from this era. So the game is different. And even Floyd, Floyd gets a lot of flack for picking and choosing, and Floyd fought the tough fights. You got pretty boy Floyd Mayweather at the first 10 years of his career, and then he got to a certain threshold in a certain point after the Oscar De La Hoya fight where he could pretty much fight whoever he wanted to fight. But even Floyd, later in his career, he still fought Marcos Maidana. That ain't twice. At his age, that ain't no easy fight. So Floyd is definitely in that category, and there's a lot of other greats that are in that category. It's tough to point out a lot of those guys now. It's not a lot of those guys that are in a top position where they have high earning power that are willing to take on those challenges. And again, you shouldn't take on those challenges fight in and fight out. You should not do that. That you get to a point, you earn the right to pick and choose. But if you want to have a legacy play and a money play, at some point in time, you got to fight some of the other best guy in that division or around your division and continue to show the fans and prove to yourself that you are still the guy you say that you are.
Where is your relationship these days with Floyd Mayweather? I offer you no disrespect when I say that he used to call you a corporate shill, and I imagine a man as proud as you probably wasn't having much of that.
Yeah. I've never had a relationship with Floyd. I've always seen Floyd in passing. You know, I've flown from the Bay Area probably 3 or 4 times. When he had training camps, I would come watch him for a day. Was always respect, you know, when I see him. Oh, what's up, champ? Oh, what's up, champ? That's always the case with Floyd. But he's taken many shots at me throughout the years. That's a question you got to ask him. I have no personal issues with Floyd. I don't agree with a lot of stuff that Floyd does or says, you know, outside the ring, but I always honor him. I always give him the respect he deserves as the virtuoso that he is inside the ring, man. I've taken a lot from him. I've stolen a lot from him stylistically, while at the same time trying to, you know, maintain and stay who I was. But relationship-wise, it's never been there.
Hurtful to hear a great talk that way, or if there's no relationship? The only people who hurt me with their criticism are people that whose opinions I respect, right? And so I don't know how any of that stuff lands. You're taking the high road. It's very kind of you, but does it hurt, or it's just sort of like, whatever, people can say what they want?
No, I mean, I think when I was younger, I think it did hurt. And I think I felt it a lot more. But, you know, as I got older, man, I just understood. You know, I wasn't the only one. I'm not the only one that Floyd would take shots at or say different things about. You know, it's interesting. The why is interesting. I've never had no history with Floyd. We don't have any off-camera or offline issues. I've only respected Floyd. You know, I don't think Floyd can find somebody that said, oh, you know, Ward talked bad about you. So I think that's the biggest thing is just what is, and I spoke about this in my book, just, you know, I said, man, that's something y'all gotta, you know, the people gotta ask Floyd Mayweather. Floyd has never really embraced me as sort of one of his own. And I really don't know why, but the thing is this, like I said, when I was younger, you feel it because you look up to this person as a fighter. But when you become full grown and you become a man, you understand tendencies, you understand how their patterns are. You start to see, okay, this ain't just with me, this with other people. Okay, in this situation, he tends to move like this. So I let it be what it's gonna be. And you know me, man, I'm a praying man, and I try to make sure that all my relationships are relationships God want me to be in. And I've learned that when a door seems shut, when there doesn't seem to be any synergy, or it don't seem like it's like a natural situation, I've learned to leave those relationships alone because they're not for me for whatever reason. And you may not even know what those reasons are. So I will always honor Floyd Mayweather for what he's done in the ring and how he prepared for fights, how he respected the game. He's given my generation and many generations so much inspiration, seeing how he dealt with big moments in that ring. Some of the same media backlash that he got, I got, and a lot of other fighters got. And we pulled from Floyd to see how he dealt with certain things and how he navigated that. But there is a point where that respect stops, and I just let Floyd be Floyd.
You are not a hater, and you are also a lover of the art of boxing. How do you feel about the circus freak fights like the Paul brothers or Jake Paul and Mike Tyson? You feel how about that?
Man, it's tough. On one hand, for me, like, let me just start here. I look at Tyson and I look at his age, and there's a part of me that doesn't appreciate that part, because Mike could get hurt in that ring if they're truly going to be throwing punches and trying to hurt each other. On the other hand, and I've said this before publicly, that there's another part of me selfishly that wants to see Mike out there, that is interested in the spectacle, and I want to see how it's going to turn out. But the better part of me is saying, bro, we need to make sure Mike is good. Not because Mike ain't, you know, tough or can't defend himself. And, you know, if there's any man at that age that you probably don't want to worry about, is Mike Tyson. But the spectacle as a whole, a lot of people have an issue with Jake Paul, man. I don't have an issue with what he's doing, man. Him and his brother, Logan, they built up their fan base various ways throughout the year. If they are able to bring that fan base over here to boxing and sell out arenas and do some decent pay-per-views and make some money, hey, man, that's their prerogative. Like, people say they're taking away from other fighters. No, they're not. The consumer can decide what they want to spend money on and what they don't. And if fighters have a problem with it, then they just got to step their game up. You got to figure out a way to sell yourself more. You got to figure out your niche. They found their niche in other places, and they brought that niche over here. The last thing I'll say about that is I respect, what Jake is doing, because I know some of the circles that he runs in and some of the guys he's around, and they're real boxing people. He's really in there getting the shiners on his eye, getting the black eyes, trying to learn to be a good fighter, and I respect that. He seems to be a hard worker, and I respect that about him. Now, should he fight for a world title? Nah, I don't think that should be the case. I know that's what he wants to do. And given how the sanctioning bodies do business, right? It's a business for them. I'm sure they'll try to find a way to make that happen. But he's not a world-class boxer. But his hustle and what he's doing, it's hard to knock it, man. He's earned the right to do what he did because he brought a fan base over here, and they followed him, and they're paying.
The Art of Ward is on YouTube and DraftKings Network. I'm surprised, though, Andre. I feel like a fool. Everyone keeps talking about Mike Tyson might get hurt, and I keep thinking Jake Paul might get hurt. Like, if I would not want to fight you or Mike Tyson at 58 years old. Like, I understand that Jake Paul is a professional fighter, but he ain't the professional fighter that you guys were in your prime. He's just not.
He's not. And I like Mike. And I share your sentiments early, right? If Mike catches you in the right spot at the right time, Mike will hurt you at 80 years old. So yes, I've considered that and I've thought about that. The problem is, as we all know, the age factor, and nobody escapes Father Time, and the body just doesn't work the same. And I don't know if this fight kind of drags on. I don't know if it's 8 rounds. 2-minute rounds or something like that, or are they doing 3 rounds? Do you know?
They've got all sorts of limits on it. I think the gloves are a little bit different. Are they doing headgear? Like there's some rules involved here that you wouldn't normally get with your average. And yes, no one wants to see a 60-year-old in the 7th round for sure. Like that's not something. There's no headgear, Chris. There are certain things that they're doing with this fight that are different. It's going to look a little different than the average fight.
Yeah, I haven't kept up with the rules, but I'll tell you this: the Mike Tyson that I saw fight in exhibition against Roy Jones, that was still a dangerous Mike Tyson. I felt like that was two of my uncles fighting at the barbecue. I love both guys, but I was nervous for both guys. I'm like, don't hit Roy. I'm like, Roy, don't hit Mike. But Mike looked dangerous in there, and Roy even talked about it. He said, man, you guys keep talking about, I don't know if Roy or Mike said it, but one of them said, man, you guys keep talking about this, my opponent getting hurt, but what about me? I think it may have been Mike. But Mike looked dangerous, man. If that Mike can show up, man, it may get interesting early. But I get concerned about the age, man, the wear and tear, and the miles on the odometer, man.
We're looking at no headgear, 14-ounce gloves, and 8 2-minute rounds for
8 2-minute
for Tyson versus Paul.
Yeah. So it's gonna go quick, but
it is good.
It can still get spicy in 8 2 minutes.
It's good seeing you. I'm sure the Art of Ward will also get spicy. As I mentioned, he is the Chief Content Officer for the Combat Sports vertical that Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson and All the Smoke are doing. Thank you, Andre. It's been a pleasure watching you, and I look forward to seeing what it is that you make here over the next 10 years.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
Amin, did you have any reaction? We mentioned Jimmy Butler and this Netflix documentary series that Jimmy Butler is going to be a part of, along with LeBron, Sabonis, Tatum, and Anthony Edwards. The report recently that the Golden State Warriors had been asking questions about trading for Jimmy Butler. What did you think of that? Because it would make sense if the Golden State Warriors are trying to get a player that is win now to try and see if the last embers of Steph and Draymond can win something.
Yeah, we talked about this on Oddball the other day, and this is a particular type of rumor that surfaces usually late September or whatever. It can happen any time of the year, but it happens a lot around this time of year, which is a rumor that is, I would say, factually reported, but not necessarily timely. My belief is that whatever conversation that happened between the Warriors and the Heat happened months ago, and there is no active conversation at this point surrounding Jimmy Butler. Like, they expressed interest, and nothing came of it, and we moved on. But because
You're saying you think that this happened like toward the end of the season, or in the off season?
My guess is sometime prior to Klay Thompson joining the Mavericks. Because if you look at the books, the amount of stuff that the Warriors would have to put together in order to get a Jimmy Butler it doesn't work as cleanly as it would have before Klay Thompson was signed and traded to Dallas. In the same way that Paul George, the Warriors were in the Paul George hunt until they realized the Clippers were not going to play ball with them in any sort.
So probably around the same time. That whenever it is that they were thinking about Paul George would have been about the same time that they were looking at a plan B on Jimmy Butler. How do you imagine that conversation went with the Miami Heat, though? Like, what is it that you'd be trading back to them to get Jimmy Butler?
Well, at that time, like I said, it probably would have been a multi-team sign and trade with Klay Thompson landing in Dallas and some other pieces moving around. Now, I don't know. I mean, I guess you've got Buddy Hield, you've got D'Anthony Melton, a couple other. You got Jonathan Kuminga, obviously, is the crown jewel of any deal with the Warriors. But Dan, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know if that makes either team better. Obviously, Miami is left without a real offensive dynamo.
You don't think that would make the Warriors better?
I don't know, because this is the problem that I've had with the Warriors the last couple of years, Dan. I don't think they're deep enough, right? I think Steph has to do too much, right? And, Klay obviously wasn't quite what he's been in the past, and Jordan Poole didn't turn out to be what they thought he was going to be. So they didn't have that plethora of depth. They were relying on young guys who were very inconsistent the last couple of years. And what they did this offseason, I really enjoyed what they did, was they went out and they said, look, we're going to go back to what helped us, which is getting our stars some guys who know how to play. I don't have to worry about them developing. So you add Melton, you add Kyle Anderson, you add Buddy Hield. Like, these are dudes that know what they're doing out there. They're vets. They've been around the league. And now they've got some depth. If you have to add all those guys up, or, and I'm assuming the Warriors would not want Andrew Wiggins, because does not strike me as Heat culture, right? If you add those guys up, that's what gets Jimmy Butler, who makes a ton of money. But now you're left with the same problem. It's Steph, it's Jimmy, it's Draymond, and a bunch of kids. And I don't think that gets them closer to the prize. And also, there's the issue of how much is Jimmy going to want? Because any Jimmy Butler deal, any team, whether it's the Miami Heat or any other team that's interested in acquiring him, that's a conversation that's hurtling towards you, and he's not thinking of himself as, I'll take 25 and go along my way. He wants to get paid what he feels he's worth.
Is that shirt something that you bought because you're the world's biggest sucker for Instagram targeted ads?
Well, I don't know if I'm the biggest sucker. And for the listening audience, I'm wearing it's like a campaign T-shirt, but it says Randy Watson 24.
Sexual chocolate!
Yep.
So good.
That's right.
That boy good for America.
Mm-hmm.
So, obviously, I love coming to America. It's a shirt that gets a lot of reactions. Just walking in here, Roy just yelling that. Carl, one of our execs, saw it, and he was like, where'd you get that shirt? And everyone, Tony.
Joe the policeman from the What's Going Down episode of That's My Mama.
There you go. Everybody was very excited just to see the shirt. And I knew I was going to get that because that's why I got the shirt. But I know the only reason I own this shirt is because as I was scrolling on Instagram, got me a little IG targeted ad, and I said, damn, man, how good is that algorithm?
It's the best, right?
All the time. I buy so much dumb over there.
That's me every time.
That boy good.
As we start the post game here, a little listener feedback from Twitter here about our Jim Abbott conversation.
Oh.
Listening to Amin talk about Jim Abbott, considering the way he shoots a basketball, has me on the verge of punching myself in the face.
Please punch. Oh, let's talk about Jim Abbott some more. I want that guy to just crest his fist right through his skull. I want him to look like a Looney Tunes character, just elbow sticking out of the front of his face. Jim Abbott, I could do what he could do. I wrap my hand up, put me on in a major league game. What's the name of that listener? Let's give him some shine with that stupid-ass comment.
That guy is right.
No, he's not.
You
He's not
making fun of a one-handed
I didn't make fun
pitcher.
of him. Did I make fun of him?
Yes.
Did I make fun of? I did not make fun of him.
Made light of.
I made
I'd
fun
say.
of the guy that gave up 2 hits to him.
An arm and 3/4, I mean.
That's not making fun of him, Roy. That's being accurate.
That's.
I like accuracy. I'm sorry. I'm a victim of my own OCD towards accuracy. Excuse me.
Except with your jump shot.
Gotta measure
which is
that, though.
what that guy is mocking when he says you shouldn't be making fun of anyone's athleticism given what that jump shot looked like,
I didn't make
especially
fun-
since it was somebody who threw a no-hitter with one hand.
Did not make fun of his athleticism. Did not even reference his athleticism. I just described him. Also, that was one jump shot. I was a victim of viral decontextualization, as
That is
we all
true.
know.
Do we have Jim Abbott shooting hoops, guys? Can we get that? Thank you.
I bet you, if you do, I bet you one thing, it's not going to be like one-handed like Anthony Mason shooting a free throw. He's going to have his 3/4 of an arm playing a part.
It's actually perfect for his jump shot.
Exactly.
'Cause it doesn't push his
the
shot
guide
either
hand.
way.
His
Yeah,
guide hand
hand's great.
is not getting in the way at all. It's just
Guide
that
nub.
nub. The guide nub. There you go.
Can we put it on the poll? Are having physical limitations a benefit in sports?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Yes, put it in there, but put the word sometimes because
Parentheses.
sometimes it's not. But
Well,
sometimes it is.
But
This is unbelievable.
the nub thing it's still bothering me. It doesn't.
I've tried looking for another word, Dan, but I
makes
can't
me
find any on the internet.
laugh every time.
It doesn't feel right.
What do you call it? If it's not
I'm not. Look,
appendage?
We call it a nub.
I haven't found something that's a better synonym. I've checked the internet. It seems that nub is the way to go. Nub is descriptive in a way that makes everyone understand, and yet still I find myself thinking this doesn't feel quite right. This doesn't feel like the way that we should be discussing this. Once you get to the flippancy, the general flippancy of hitting somebody with a nub and just casually again and again saying nub, and certainly 1 3/4 arms is no better.
Look,
it's no better, but I don't know what I'm doing because I had great delight in making fun of JPP when he lost a couple of fingers to firecrackers.
See, that's awful. You made fun of him? That's terrible, Dan.
Well, I thought that fingers were, and this was a different time. So perhaps this is aged poorly as well. But I thought that the losing of fingers was one place, the only place perhaps, maybe toes, where a deformity could be mocked.
Whoa. There's a significant difference here. That was an injury. We're talking about a deformity here.
Well, deformity. Wow, that sounds terrible.
That's even worse than nub.
Yeah, really bad.
Giants owner John Mara, who also today said he doesn't know how many fingers JPP has.
But it was also the way that he lost the fingers, right? Firecrackers, like you just got an explosion and then a couple of fingers go flying. That is also, yes, a terrible accident. There's no disputing that it's a terrible accident.
He doesn't know how many fingers JPP has.
I don't agree or approve of any of this. You guys are being, that's flippant. You guys are trying to be funny. Me, I'm saying I got nothing but love for Jim Abbott. But it is 3/4 of an arm.
That is accurate, but play please that Sports Center flash sound because this was said with no irony, and it was delivered by a broadcaster being maximum broadcaster on. I'm gonna hit this right at the end before the clock clips me at the end. I'm gonna hit this with news and information.
Giants owner John Mara, who also today said he doesn't know how many fingers JPP has.
Happiest that has ever been said.
Chris lip-synced that perfectly.
Because it's Kevin Winter, and he's an update guy. And at the time, people were asking, well, what happened? Why is he hiding his hand? He's had explosives in his hands. And then somebody asked the Giants owner, and the Giants owner did not have an answer. So he's just reporting the news.
Giants owner John Mara, who also today said he doesn't know how many fingers JPP has.
Shout out to my guy, Kevin Winter, by the way. That's a good dude, man.
Great guy.
I've worked with him before. He's awesome.
You think not important information in the context of this conversation.
He doesn't know how many fingers JPP has.
I don't think he wants to be allies with you given your general performance around the nub. See, I don't feel right saying it. I don't feel right saying it.
Who's ready for kickoff? Join the football action this preseason and regular season with DirecTV's Sunday Series on DraftKings. Build your best lineups in 6 free contests to compete for a share of $30,000. Then watch the games on Sunday your way. You can watch them live, watch them on streaming apps with DirecTV satellite free. Play free now at DraftKings.com/DirecTV. Terms and conditions and other eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.